সম্মানিত সুধী, সকলে যার যার আসন গ্রহণ করুন। আপনারা যার যার সিটে বসে যান, আমরা আপনাদের সিটে সিটে সার্টিফিকেট পৌঁছে দেব। অনুগ্রহ করে সবাই যার যার সিটে বসে যান। হ্যালো হ্যালো হ্যালো, এটা তো কাজ করে। গেট পিছনে দিয়ে করেন, গেট লাগাই দেন। হ্যাঁ, আশরাফ স্যার চাইলে দিবেন, আশরাফ স্যার তো ইয়ে। বিপ্লব ব্যানার্জি আছেন কি? বিপ্লব ব্যানার্জি, আপনার সার্টিফিকেটটা আমার কাছে। বিপ্লব ব্যানার্জি নাই। ডক্টর আসমা আক্তার জাহান ম্যাডাম তো ছিলেন। ডক্টর আসমা আক্তার জাহান বোধহয়। সাইফুর রহমান কোথাকার? ইঞ্জিনিয়ার মোহাম্মদ রশিদুল আলম, ডক্টর মামুনুর রশিদ, ডাক্তার সেলিম শেখ, কামরুজ্জামান মেইনটেনেন্স ইঞ্জিনিয়ার, শরীফ মোহাম্মদ রেজাউল করিম ডেপুটি ডিরেক্টর বাংলাদেশ ব্রিজ অথরিটি, শাহ মোহাম্মদ নাজমুল করিম সিনিয়র প্রকিউরমেন্ট স্পেশালিস্ট, শাহ মোহাম্মদ নাজমুল করিম, রাহিদুল ইসলাম এক্সিকিউটিভ, রাহিদুল ইসলাম, ওই যে মোহাম্মদ তাকিবুর রহমান অ্যাসিস্ট্যান্ট অ্যাসোসিয়েট প্রফেসর, এটা জিয়ার হাতে দেন, জিয়াকে দেন। মোহাম্মদ তানভীর আক্কাস ডেপুটি প্রজেক্ট ম্যানেজার, মোহাম্মদ তানভীর আক্কাস, ডাক্তার মোহাম্মদ মশিউর রহমান, তানভীর আক্কাস আগেরটা, ডাক্তার মোহাম্মদ মশিউর রহমান, ডক্টর মোহাম্মদ মশিউর রহমান বিপিএটিসি নাই, সে বাইরে আছে হয়তো, নিয়ে রাখছে বোধহয়, দেখো। ঠিক আছে, এখন এই জায়গায় ছেড়ে দাও, স্যাররা আসবে। এই জায়গা ক্লিয়ার করো, ক্লিয়ার করো, ক্লিয়ার করো। ডক্টর মশিউর রহমান বলেছি, এইখানে আছে। ওয়াহিদ, সম্মানিত সুধী, মাননীয় অতিথিবৃন্দ, স্যার চলে আসুন। স্যার শুরু করবো। বিসমিল্লাহির রহমানির রহিম। Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and a very good afternoon. National Academy for Planning and Development has organized the first international conference on planning and development. This has become a wonderful platform to discuss the challenges and opportunities that Bangladesh might face with its continuous development in the digital era. The 2 days fantastic knowledge sharing event is going to be over now. And this is Moinul Hassan Choudhury.
And this is Moful Nahar.
On behalf of NAPD, cordially invites all of you to the closing ceremony of this international conference.
Indeed, and very excited to note that this conference has brought together some of the most promising professionals, researchers, and experts from different sectors from home and abroad. Dear audience, we are extremely happy and honored that this program is graced by the presence of Mr. Muhammad Nazibur Rahman, Honorable Principal Secretary, Prime Minister's Office, as chief guest. Ladies and gentlemen, the program will be chaired by the respected Director General of NAPD and Secretary of the Government, Mr. Muhammad Abul Kashem.
Dear audience, we are also delighted to have Academy's Additional Director General of NAPD, Mr. A.M. Nasihul Kamal, NDC, at the stage. Mr. Ataul Haq, Managing Director, Fire Service Welfare Trust, and NAPD's Director Training, Dr. Muhammad Nuruzzaman. With the kind permission of the chair, I am going to start the program. At first, I am requesting Dr. Muhammad Nuruzzaman, Director Training of this Academy, to convey his farewell speech.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Chair, Mr. A.M. Nasul Kamal, NDC Additional Director General, Honorable Chief Guest, Mr. Muhammad Najibur Rahman, Principal Secretary, Prime Minister Office, Honorable Special Guest, Mr. Muhammad Abul Qasim, Director General and Secretary to the Government, NAPD, distinguished presenters, guests, and my dear fellow participants, Assalamu alaikum. At the very outset, I would like to welcome you all to the concluding ceremony. I express my deep gratitude to the Honorable Minister for Planning, Mr. Abdul Mannan MP, for inaugurating the first international conference on planning and development, for sharing his ideas, spending valuable time. His speech has greatly encouraged the NAPD and its faculty to move forward and take further initiatives for effective planning and development as part of constitutional obligation to make Bangladesh as a planet nation. Keynote paper presented by Senior Secretary and Member General Economic Division, Bangladesh Planning Commission, Dr. Samsul Alam, also encouraging. He highlighted the pertinent development issues and further directions to the institutions in order to fulfill the people's aspiration of Sonar Bangla. Many of the participants come up with the view to make Bangladesh prosperous by 2041 and beyond, and nobody will be left behind. In organizing this conference, I would like to render a very special sense of gratitude to our Honorable Director General, Mr. Muhammad Abul Qasim, Secretary to the Government. Under his able leadership, we move forward. I am also thankful to the paper presenters, reviewers, session chair for their valuable contributions. It would be unjust if I do not mention the name of Honorable Chief Guest and Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister, Mr. Muhammad Najibur Rahman sir, for his kind presence in the concluding ceremony. His presence greatly encouraged and inspired us. Hope the outcome of this conference and the recommendations of the papers will be used in the decision-making process. Last but not the least, very special thanks are due to the distinguished participants, officials, and NAPD staff members for making this program a success. With these few words, I would like to thank you again for patient hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to request Mr. Ataul Haq, Managing Director, Fire Service Welfare Trust, Ministry of Home Affairs, as a rapporteur for report presentation.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The chair of today's international conference, Mr. Muhammad Abul Qasim, Director General of NAPD and the Secretary to the Government, and the chief guest, Mr. Muhammad Najibur Rahman sir, Principal Secretary, Prime Minister Office, Mr. Nushiul Kamal, Additional Director General, NAPD, and Mr. Nuruzzaman, Director Training, NAPD, dear participants from home and abroad. Again, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. I feel very privileged for presenting the rapporteur report in this afternoon. It was first of this kind here in NAPD. There were a total number of 14 papers were presented in the conference, including one keynote paper. And the keynote paper was presented by Dr. Samsul Alam, Member Planning Commission, and also Senior Secretary to the Government. In the keynote paper, he mentioned two very significant things. One thing is Bangladesh is on track in terms of economic growth. It is one of the fastest growing economy in the world. And we have tremendous development in the areas of poverty alleviation, in the progress in the immunization, and also we had tremendous progress in the food security through efficient food delivery mechanism, improved rural infrastructure, liberalized agricultural input, digital integration of the markets. He referred on the constitutional obligation for planning. He also referred from the Article 15 of our Constitution, where it is mentioned that the provision of the basic necessities of life, including food, clothing, shelter, education, and medical care, the right to work, that is the right to guaranteed employment as a reasonable wage, having regard to the quantity and quality of the work. He also mentioned about our challenges. He said, the minimizing inequality in the distribution of wealth is one of the challenges ahead us. And also he mentioned about the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals, and also finally he mentioned about the realization of our dream for becoming a developed country by 2021. There were 13 papers presented by the participants from home and abroad, especially the people who are from the abroad. They are expert yet. And I can quote with the, because my time is very short, I can tell very shortly about their deliberation. The first paper was delivered by Mr. Hassanul Banna. The title of the paper was The Role of Digital Financing Inclusion on Promoting Sustainable Economic Growth Through Banking Stability. He mentioned that in the context of Bangladesh, to determine the role of digital financial inclusion on sustainable economic growth through banking stability to achieve the development goal by 2030. He also recommended for 3 areas. One area is time-tested and time-demanding business model should be introduced. Political stability should be ensured since any kind of financial growth. He also emphasized on the promotion of digital financing literacy and also emphasized on a strong, independent, and unbiased regulatory body for supervising all the activities. The second paper was presented by Mr. Abdul Jabbar, Councillor Mr. Abdul Jabbar. The title of his paper was Digitalization and Public Service Delivery, Comparative Study between Oldham Council UK and also Sylhet City Corporation. He mentioned that there are 2 significant barriers that must be overcome by the Sylhet City Corporation. The barriers are technical limitations and changing user behavior. The third paper was presented by Jannatul Firdaus, citizen-friendly e-service delivery at local level, and she presented the case study, especially on our Union Parishad perspectives. Her recommendations were that though we have a success story in the Union Parishad Digital Center, but we have some limitations also. So the state should interfere and state should find out the appropriate policy for enhance the capacity of union level digital centers. The fifth paper was presented by Mr. Rezaun Haq. The title of his paper was Technical and Vocational Education and Training as an Enabler for the Industrial Revolution. Especially, he emphasized on IR4 in Bangladesh. And his suggestion was that we should revisit our curriculum, especially our curriculum which is being taught in our technical educations, that should be revisited and that must be updated. Later, we have the presentation on innovation in public service, a way to envisioning the change from inside the public administration in Bangladesh. Here, the suggestions were bureaucracy itself needs to undergo metaphysical without losing the excellence of improved service delivery with inventory changes. The concept of new public management should be introduced. And also, he mentioned that the bureaucracy requires to be effective and efficient in making coordination among the various agencies as well as vested in ICT in the form of e-governance. Again, we had the presentation from Mili Rahman on the English language barriers and employment challenges in Bangladesh. Her conclusion was like, because of having no realistic practice of English language learning and teaching in the classrooms and beyond, potential job seekers in Bangladesh experience disinterest about enjoying textbooks and language practice beyond classroom, which subsequently impacts developing language and communication skill is needed for workplace. The eighth presentation was conceptualization, the role of financial capital, human capital, and the innovation capacity in the development of micro-entrepreneurship in Bangladesh. The recommendation of the presenter that especially the microcredit has had very positive impact in poverty elevation in Bangladesh. He mentioned the contribution of the microfinancing is 89% of the total poverty elevation in Bangladesh. Again, we had the presentation on innovation in agriculture and industrial sector of Bangladesh, application of the biotechnology to achieve sustainable development goal. It was presented by Mr. Abu Hashim. He had some conclusions like our food and livelihood demand is expected to be much higher than its current growth of production. So he emphasized on the digitalization or the modern implementation of the modern technique in our cultivation areas. Also, he mentioned about the biotechnology issues should be addressed in the industrial sector. We had 10th presentation titled A Grand Challenge of Connecting the Disconnected, Reducing the Proportion of the Youth Not in Employment, Education, or in Training. It was presented by Mr. Mohammad Mustafizur Rahman Khan, and he also emphasized on the empowerment of the youth through education, training, employment, and their entrepreneurship. We had also the presentation like the clearance of the water sector project under the clearing house role of WARPO, presented by Mr. Amirul Haq, one of the water resources. He recommended the need for erosion control, master plan for better management and sustainable solution of the water management of Bangladesh. We had also a paper titled Anatomy of Failure, the community adoptions of the water purification in the coastal areas. He mentioned in his paper that the people of the coastal areas are not willing to adopt this technology. So public awareness is the must for make a success of this project. We had also two presentations, finally, like one presentation on the multi-dimensional poverty management approach in project management. In this paper, the presenter tried to introduce new indicator for measuring poverty. Finally, we had the paper on public-private partnership, where it is mentioned that presently we are measuring the progress implementation of our public partnership projects through client satisfaction, but the opinion of the House that time, cost may be considered during the measurement of the public-private partnership project. So that were the nutshell of the 2 days long this international conference. And I like to express my sincere thanks to the NAPD authority for giving me opportunity to present my paper as a rapporteur. Thank you very much for your kind patience.
Thank you so much, sir. Dear audience, now it's the time for certificate distribution. I would like to request the Honorable Chief Guest of this program to distribute certificates among the paper presenters. So, dear paper presenters, when I mention your name, please come to the dais and receive your certificate from the Chief Guest. Dr. Hassanul Banna, Councillor Abdul Jabbar, Ms. Jannatul Firdaus, Mr. Rezawanul Haq, Mr. Samsuddin Ahmed, Mr. Abu Hashim, Mr. Muhammad Mustafizur Rahman Khan, Ms. Mili Rahman, Mr. Syed Ashik E. Ilahi, Mr. Abdullah Al Mamun, and Mr. Azimus Sadat. Congratulations to all. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to take the privilege to request the Chief Guest, Mr. Muhammad Nazibur Rahman, Principal Secretary, Prime Minister Office, to deliver his valuable speech. Distinguished guest, Honorable Principal Secretary.
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Mr. Chairperson of this concluding session, the Director General National Academy for Planning and Development, the rapporteur and other colleagues on the dais, and the faculty members present here, and also the participants who are representing various important institutions of the country, and invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. I'm very happy to be here this afternoon. While coming to this great location, I was thinking that maybe this is one of the first time that I'm participating in such a very big conference here, and it sounded very innovative. International conference on planning and development organized by NAPD is in the fitness of things, and also it's very promising. So allow me to begin by congratulating the Academy Management for being the host of such a great conference, and also congratulations to all of you who are becoming part of it. I don't know whether there were such international conferences organized here or not, but this is definitely an important step forward. Today, I also recollected that I'm arriving at this academy at a time which completes almost 25th year of my participation in this academy. Back in 1994, I was undergoing a very exciting, tantalizing training program known as Planning and Project Management, PPM course. And I liked that course so much, and I liked that environment so much, that even after completing the training, even after I left Dhaka, whenever I used to come to Dhaka, I used to choose this place as my place of residence. So I had two options. Either, thank you. I had two options, either to go to the nearby BCS Administration Academy at Shahbag. It was that time going through some transition, I think, from former paradigm to a new paradigm, and also this. But I always opted for the National Academy of Planning and Development, and everyone was very friendly. So I'm really feeling at home. Now, on serious note, let me make a couple of points. I would like to make 3-4 comments. Firstly, I think this type of event, and especially when it is a knowledge event, is now the order of the day. Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, she has been pursuing a grand vision to convert the country into a knowledge-based society. So we, from the Prime Minister's office, we appreciate such initiative, and we see a lot of merits in these great initiatives. Number one, you connect different dots. The 13 papers that were presented was definitely an important achievement, but the people-to-people contact, colleagues coming from all across various departments, government, non-government, financial, from the field, from the region, from the capital. This is what is called a cross-realization of knowledge. And this knowledge, basically, I call it the beginning of the beginning. This is the community of practice that you have formed over last 2 days, from 23rd and today 24th, will be a long-lasting phenomenon. And it is also very important, because nowadays, if you want to do good in your profession, in your business, in your enterprise, you have to have a good networking. So I'm seeing it as a good networking event, and especially meeting a very efficient, expatriate, enthusiastic Bangladeshi. Can I call you Bangladeshi, or you have both? And NRV. I'm seeing that there are a lot of opportunities to even expand these type of activities. Maybe in future, we can have more of this type of brilliant, enthusiastic people in our forum. So this is one, that you are pursuing a knowledge-based approach. And when we talk about knowledge-based approach, we remember knowledge management. We say whatever you learn, you acquire knowledge, you then store knowledge, you then distribute knowledge, and then you apply knowledge. But in such an event, you can also create new knowledge. I'm seeing that the 13 papers will be very worth reading. So I will be collecting them and go through them. At least I will connect 12 of them because one paper is coming from the PMO domain, the public-private partnership that Dr. Najmul Sadat has produced will be available. But the other 12 I need. Especially, I need the one on the anatomy of a failure. Why did the community reject the innovative approach? This will be worth examining in a very academic sense, not to basically take on anyone for their non-performance, but to learn what really went wrong, what really worked well, and what didn't work well, and why it didn't work well. This is very important because in our country, Bangladesh is considered across the world as a forerunner on adaptation activities. I was the former Environment and Forests, and now they call also Climate Change Secretary. We had the Bangladesh Climate Change Strategy and Action Plan. Every ministry was involved, including Water Ministry, local government, disaster management. So this is, the anatomy would be very good. We can learn a lot of things. So this is my second A point. The second B point is, I heard something about new public management. New public management, one of the philosophy is, definitely it is result-based, but the basic philosophy is very controversial. The basic philosophy says government must run like the business. And I'm a great opponent of this. Wherever I go, in local or international seminars, if I come across the concept called new public management, I declared in one of those Commonwealth Public Service Conference back in 2008, held in Barbados, West Indies, the players who play good cricket. So Barbados form one of the core of the West Indies team. And I said, in a big conference of 10,000 people, there was a microphone in the middle. If you have to speak, you have to go and hold that microphone. And I had some senior colleagues like Dr. Sadat Hussain was then chairman of the Public Service Commission. So I said, the new public management is dead. So the new public management, because colleagues, in a very dynamic world, the whole public service scenario has been changing. When we joined the civil service back in 1982, it was the public administration. Everything was rule-based. Even anything, the human being was secondary. Human resources were secondary. Everything was ruled by Ain ki bole. What does the law say? Then we say there was some change. It was converted into public management. Little business-like transaction, but still rules and business-like transaction. And then new public management came at the third stage. Some consultant, they felt that being paid by World Bank and other entities, they felt that they can profess the philosophy of making government like a business entity. That was really questionable because you know that government does not run for profit. Government ensures public service, public welfare, social justice. And the new public management then fell short of public expectation. So there was the latest consensus that we should pursue a governance approach, meaning what is happening today. I've seen the list of participants that the government, public sector, private sector, and the rest of the society must form a coalition and they must work together. This is the governance model where there is more call for accountability, timeliness, result-based management. So I think in one of the rapporteur's point, the introduction of the new public management is basically little now fall short of, out of the context, and it is, I say it is redundant. It is redundant. You have to have a very public welfare approach in mind, but again, not at the cost of your own capital. You'll have to save your capital. So there has to be a win-win solution we discussed in other context. So this is basically the other point. And the point B is, today is also a special day. I'm seeing the project director, Asan, was with us in the morning. No? In the morning, is he the Asan, the Joint Chief of the Planning Commission? Yeah, right. So he was with us in the morning at the Honorable Prime Minister's office. And Honorable Prime Minister today gave her guidance on how to finalize the new participatory approach, the perspective plan. The perspective plan 2141. As you know that Honorable Prime Minister is a very visionary leader. She declared Digital Bangladesh back in 2018 on the eve of the election. And after being elected to power, she has been basically pioneering the digital approaches in the country. So that was the part of the first perspective plan, 2010 to 2020, and now from 2021 to 2041, we'll be having a new perspective plan because we have the vision of converting Bangladesh into a rich, prosperous, educated country in South Asia by 2041. And she is not stopping there. She is going up to 2100. You have heard already yesterday, and I have seen that the paper given by Professor Shamsul Alam is very rich. It's very rich and gives you a whole lot of information. My final comment is, and this is also a guidance from the Honorable Prime Minister that came, that whatever we do in our different areas, let's try to update our statistics. Let's educate people. Let's keep them informed. So I was questioning the statistics here on the wall. The GDP growth rate of 7.9% in 2018. I think the latest calculation is GDP growth rate is 8.13. 8.13. And as you know, thank you. It is already there. That was an approach by Asian Development Bank. Maybe Bangladesh will fall short of 8%, but Asian Development Bank subsequently, they reviewed their findings and found also 8% of the GDP growth. And Asian Development Bank, as you know, declared Bangladesh as the most well-performing economy in 2018 among the Asia-Pacific countries, at least 45 Asia-Pacific countries, starting from Australia up to a lot of other countries. And Bangladesh has been found to be the most performing, and they have attributed several factors. One is the political stability, the leadership, good governance, right development approach, and the macroeconomic stability. So I hope that this type of international conference will further encourage us in getting into the issues that are more relevant to our lives, our people's lives, and whatever we do in our different sectors, let's try to maximize the benefit for the people of Bangladesh and also across the world. So with these few words, let me congratulate all of you for becoming part of this important event, and let me especially congratulate the paper presenters for their thought-provoking papers. I'll be going through them. And finally, I'm thanking the National Academy for Planning and Development Management for making me a part of this great event on the 25th year of my first knowing this great academy. And thank you very much for being such a good audience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your thought-provoking speech. Distinguished guests, at this time, the Director General of NAPD is going to honor our chief guest by providing a small memento on behalf of NAPD.
Dear audience, now it's time for chairperson's speech. May I request the chairperson of today's program, Mr. Muhammad Abul Kashem, Director General of National Academy for Planning and Development and Secretary to the Government, to deliver his speech.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Chief Guest, Mr. Muhammad Najibur Rahman Sir, Principal Secretary, Prime Minister's Office, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I think we had 2 days of learning opportunities in this fantastic forum, and now we have come to the end of this conference. We will not be able to reach the SDGs without strong commitments to draw our attention to science, technology, and innovation. A new research-based knowledge is vital for all decision makers. If we are to achieve the progress, we need to get on track for 2030 for achievement of SDGs goals. Over the last 2 days, we have discussed how knowledge-based society can help us to reach the SDGs more effectively. It is vital that we find new ways providing the knowledge in order to answer the most challenging questions of our time. As we continue our work to achieve the SDGs, we will need leaders with these qualities more than ever. The world is facing many challenges, including food security, limited access to education, inadequate health services, the gender gap, climate change, environment, pollution, etc. All of our presenters perform a wonderful job with excellent paper presentation. 13 papers have been presented in this conference, and the participants put up some important suggestions to improve the papers presenters. And however, we have expanded our knowledge from those papers. And ladies and gentlemen, these 2 days is the red letter day in the history of NAPD, having the number of participants from the various parts of the globe who have made the first international conference a success. I'm sure this conference has provided you plenty of opportunities to discuss policies and procedures, share knowledge and insights. Honorable Chief Guest, we are indeed delighted that you took off time from your busy schedule to be with us to grace the occasion. I thank distinguished guests, paper presenters, participating officers, faculty members, and all staff members of NAPD who have relentlessly worked for making this conference a success. With these few words, I would like to conclude my speech. Goodbye, long live Bangladesh. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to request Mr. A.M. Nasihul Kamal, NDC, Additional Director General, NAPD, to propose a vote of thanks.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Chief Guest of this closing ceremony, MD Najibur Rahman, Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister's Office, Honorable Chairperson MD Abul Kashem, Director General NAPD and Secretary to the Government, dear paper presenters, esteemed participants, distinguished guests, representatives from electronic and print media, NAPD faculties, report here. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and very good afternoon to everybody. It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks of this occasion. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all of you to the closing ceremony of First International Conference on Planning and Development organized by NAPD. Dear audience, we feel very much honored to have our most valued Najibur Rahman Sir, who breaks his very busy schedule to grace this occasion as chief guest. His presence has enlightened this conference. Thank you, sir, to be with us. And it's a great opportunity to mention. I worked with Najibur Rahman sir for some time, so it also gave me a pleasure. You know, 13 papers, as many as 13 papers on 5 areas have presented in this conference. Definitely, NAPD became strengthened by this conference. So I must mention our deep sense of appreciation for the paper presenters who actually made this conference a success. We are grateful to all of you. I may like to express our sincere thanks to all pressmen, both electronic and print media, for giving excellent coverage on the conference. We would like to acknowledge our gratitude to Dr. Samsul Alam, who is not present today, Member General Economics Division and Senior Secretary to the Government Planning Commission, for exposing his keynote speech. We are thankful to session chair and co-chair and also to the podium for their contribution. We are all inspired by your great words. Now I would like to remember the active involvement and cooperation given by officials of NAPD for their great jobs. Ladies and gentlemen, an event like this cannot happen overnight. It needs proper planning and guidance. For all those, Honorable DG gave us right direction. So a very big thanks for our Director General. Dear Honorable, from today, you all are NAPD alumni. Do not forget us. NAPD will remember you for a long, long time. Time will pass and turn into years, but NAPD will remember you with silent tears. Now, I would like to conclude by saying a quote from Rabindranath Thakur. দুয়ারে প্রস্তুত গাড়ি গভীর ক্রন্দন যেতে না দিব হায় তবু যেতে দিতে হয় তবু চলে যায় সম্মুখ উর্মিরে ডাকে পশ্চাতের ঢেউ দেব না যেতে নাহি শুনে কেউ নাহি কোনো সারা যতবার পরাজয় ততবার কহে আমি ভালোবাসি যারে সে কি কবু আমা থেকে দূরে যেতে পারে ইউ আর ভেরি nearest to us. You are our esteemed colleague. You are our friends. Thank you so much.
At this point, I would like to take a privilege to have a group photograph with the distinguished guest and our paper presenters. So dear paper presenters, please come upon the dais to have a photograph. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of the program. With the kind permission of the chair, I would like to pronounce the closing of this 2 days international conference. Ladies and gentlemen, all of you are invited and requested to join the tea served at the NAPD cafeteria. Wishing all of you to meet again at our next conference. Till then, Allah Hafiz. Thank you.